Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Rise Factor. I am super excited to have such a phenomenal woman join me today who actually reminded me off air that we've actually known each other for quite a few years now when I was a BDM myself. So, without further ado, Hayley, welcome so much to the Rise Factor.
Thank you.
And you are
I,
joining us all the way from WA.
that's correct. In Perth, WA.
Yeah.
Um,
And for those that may not know you, Hayley, who is Hayley?
I am just your average person. I am a mum of three beautiful kids. I've got three under eight, so it's chaotic all the time at my house. And I'm a BDM. It's pretty much all I do is be a mum and do what my kids need to do and work. That's pretty much it.
I love that you said it's pretty much all that I do because, like, let's just acknowledge right now, and for all of the listeners or viewers, that you have three children and you're a BDM and you're a phenomenal BDM. So, not all that you do, it's like absolutely amazing that you do that. So, hats off because having one is enough for me, and let alone you're doing amazing things and you have three. So, let's just like congratulate you for all of the phenomenal job that you do.
Thank
Hayley, I've
you.
been obviously we've known each other for a while, but connected, and we've had numerous conversations, and I always love the way that you show up, and I really love shining the light on BDMs across Australia for some magnificent work that they do. So, would love to just touch base and for you to share on your journey to get to where you are today first, and then we'll go into some nitty gritties.
Yeah, perfect. So do you want me to start right from the start?
Tell us about your journey, real estate and BDM journey.
Perfect. So I started real estate in 2022. I was just an assistant PM for about 6 months. And I sort of knew that I could do more and I wanted to be better, but I also, as a single mum, wanted to be better for my kids as well. The cost of living was going up, so I needed a better income. And that was the first push for me to go and do different. So I changed agencies and I became a BDM with no experience.
Yeah.
And I had to work hard. And I worked for a company in Bunbury for just a little over a year, about a year and a half, before joining Platinum in Perth. And I've been here for a year now.
Awesome.
So yeah.
And how have you found the transition?
I think it was hard at the start, learning everything in such a small amount of time.
Mm.
And I got busy quite quickly. So when I first started in my role as a BDM, they told me that their previous BDM only brought on a couple of months and that's how it was and it wasn't busy. And then I did seven, and then I did 10, and then I did 20, and then I did 40.
Mm.
And it had just been a whirlwind, and I had to pick up on things very quickly and learn how everything worked very quickly. And our whole lives changed within a year. So I
Mm.
think I did 500 new managements in my first 12 months. I think 520 in my first,
Um,
24 months, sorry, my first 2 years. Yeah.
524 in the first 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so great. Like phenomenal numbers. And for the people listening, they're probably going to ask this question to themselves. So I'm going to ask it. What do you think was the main reason that drove those numbers up? So from previously doing, complacency numbers to then being able to go, okay, I've had a 40 listing month and having such success over the couple of years. What was the biggest change for that?
I think what drove to that was one, obviously being available for my clients. So I didn't, when the kids were in the car or we were going somewhere, it was the weekend and I had a minute to answer a phone call, I always had my work phone on me. So even if the kids were in the car, I would let a client know, like, hey, just letting you know the kids are in the car. And they loved that. So I definitely made the connections on a personal level. And all of my clients still, from my last agency, will touch base with me and, you know, see how the kids are. And I definitely make it more of a personal note rather than just a business note.
I love
I think
that. And I think so many BDMs will relate to that with the relationship side. So, do you think that's probably the most important skill set to have as a BDM is to focus on the person and that personal touch and that personal level of experience that we can bring to our clients?
yeah, 100%. I think the most important thing to do is sort of get a gist on who they are, who the client is, because if it's a really professional person that probably doesn't want me to call with the kids screaming in the back and they'd prefer me to wait until I'm in an office setting, then I'm not going to give them a call in there. So it's knowing what your clients are, who they are. But a
Mm.
lot of my clients are just mum and dad investors and people that own a couple of investment properties and they all have kids. And it's definitely one of my questions I asked right at the beginning, like, oh, do you have kids? Because I've got three and they're allowed. So it's definitely, I throw it out there. And if they don't have kids or they're like a single guy just in their 20s, I'll make sure that I do it when they're not around.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's so good. And how do you make sure that you're staying relevant in the industry and in your marketplace to your clients?
So we definitely, the agency I work for at the moment, we're very streamlined. So we are up to date with all of the new gadgets and making sure that we're up to scratch with technology. So it definitely makes a difference knowing that we can say that we do the 360 inspections and our streamline. We get a management authority sent out. I had a call this morning and we had their management authority signed within 15, 20 minutes. So we make sure things get done quickly and it definitely makes a difference using the up-to-date technology. I think if you are still going the way they were doing things 10 years ago, you're probably going to be a bit behind.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's so important that we can automate so much so that you can focus on getting out there and meeting people and doing your appraisals and giving that really personalized touch. Because I think what I'm finding is that's what clients are really wanting now. They're wanting that personal email, they're wanting that personal phone call. We can automate as much as we can, but we definitely need to focus on that human connection. That's what I love about you, Hayley, and you can definitely just see how connected you are to yourself. And let's just like discuss, right? So you've had a phenomenal journey, and you've said about that personal touch and having the kids in the car whilst you're talking to clients. So being a mum and of three kids and being a BDM, how do you do it? How do you do it?
I don't know. Like I'm on it all of the time. I don't, it's definitely hard work, and I don't think everyone could do it. But I think the passion definitely makes it the passion is the reason why I do it. I do it for my kids, and if clients are not happy with my kids being around, then they're probably not for our agency because we are a very family orientated agency.
Mm.
Um, how I do it is a hard question because I say this to myself every single night when I'm up and working at 10 o'clock at night. But
Yeah.
I think I still do all the school pickups and drop offs every single day. So I'm at the school every day at 3 o'clock to pick the kids up from school.
Mhm.
And then I just work from home in the afternoon. So that's when I'm probably getting a little bit less done, but I'm making up that time after they're in bed. So I
Mm.
think it's making sure that you're giving your kids enough attention as well as your job.
Yeah. So would you say then your like time management or like when you're on, you're actually like making so much more use of that time because you know that you've only got that time to work in the business and then you got to do school pick up and then come home,
Yeah.
etc.
I think so. Where our school is, it's a street away from our house. So I tend to do a lot of my work from home. So I'll
Mm.
go home, get everything I need done during the day, and then obviously go and do school pickup. I think it definitely, in those 6 hours that they're at school, I get a lot done and I make sure I'm getting everything I need done in that time. And if I'm not getting it done, then I'll make sure that I'm doing it at night and I'm not promoting anyone working after hours or
Yeah.
not having a life, but it's worked for me so far.
Yeah, I love that. And you've said, it's not for everyone. I think though, and this is just my belief is that, being a BDM, it is essentially a 24/7 gig because we are the face of the businesses and there are particular times that our clients will need us to be available and sometimes that's not during business hours when they're looking to make big decisions
Yeah.
regarding their investments that they've spent millions if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on. They need that time to have no distractions and I was the same, Hayley, taking calls after hours. There was a stage though, and I want to talk about this because I know we've messaged about this before, that though I stretched myself too thin and I was borderline burning out again because I was doing too many late nights and I was
Yeah.
working weekends and I wasn't dedicating enough time to myself. So I think there's got to be that fine balance. But you're, proving that you can do both. You can have the success that you want in business and still be a mum. And I think that's a really important message for BDMs because there's a lot of women BDMs out there, right, Hayley? So it's like let's be the advocates for these women, and also like shout out to the directors who are allowing that flexibility in the workplace too. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
I
think that,
definitely would not, if I didn't work for an agency as good as the one I'm at right now, it would be a lot harder to be able to pick up my kids at 3 o'clock. Some agencies won't. You're
mm.
9 to 5, that's it. You have to be at the office 9 to 5. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be this relaxed if I had that.
Yeah. And I think though, doing the work that you're doing, the success that you're getting, I think that, the flexibility would be there because you are getting the results for the business and in turn for your life as well. So, well done, Hayley, on being an advocate for women, right? And in light of, International Women's Day coming up, which will be after this recording, but, the fact that you can and we are capable of doing things that we want to do. And I think it's important that you've recognized you're doing this for your kids and because you're passionate about what you do as well. So I love that.
I love it too. I definitely think um, being an advocate for working mums is definitely a big part of me. Everyone that wants to work and they have young kids and they just tell me that they can't. I'm like, you can. Like
Yeah.
it's doable. It's not, 50, 60 years ago where the women stayed home and the man
Mm,
worked. It's just most of the time it's not doable these days. So
yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it too. Like, let's make it more acceptable, I think, for sure. And I think for me, it's important that when I work, I'm actually a better mum. Like I'm a better mum for my son when I'm doing things that light me up and fill my cup and that I'm, feel really aligned with. And then I'm so much happier and so
Yeah,
much more of a better
I
mum.
also agree. Like, I think when I'm not working, so I had a month off or just under a month off over December and January. I hadn't had that much time off in a long time.
Mhm.
And I think it sort of caused more of my burnout when I came back. And I think you touched on this before,
Mm.
that I had a big burnout at the end of January. I was on leave. We went to Bali. We had a great, 3.5 weeks off. I came back, went straight back into work. And that's when I burnt myself out. And I think I don't think I'll ever take that much time off in a row ever again. But the burnout is real and it does happen. And to try and navigate you out of a burnout was probably my biggest thing because I was probably in it for about a month and I was crying at night. Like I didn't know what to do. Like I had to like reach out to my licensee and say like I am so not okay. So, but they definitely helped me through it, which was amazing. So definitely again, having an amazing company to work for that understands that is really
Yeah.
good too.
So what would be your advice to ensure that BDMs listening don't get to burnout? Because like I've experienced it, you've also experienced now, and but from our experience, we're able to navigate others from that. But we want to prevent people to get to that point. So what would you suggest or your advice be to BDMs on to avoid that burnout?
I think noticing the signs before it gets too late.
Mm.
So if you are noticing that you're getting more tired or more irritated or more grumpy or starting to not like your position, you need to take a step back and look at what you're doing and what you need to change. And if you need to have a day off or you need to go to the spa and have a day where you just spend on yourself, I know there was a couple of days right at the end before I started getting a bit better.
Yeah.
Just I didn't work that much and it's okay to take a couple of days to just breathe and reflect on what's happened and what you can change and what you need to. For me, it was getting back into the swing of working after having such a long time off.
Mm.
And then I was back and now I'm good again.
Yeah. Like, let's just acknowledge that, right? Because I think we actually haven't spoken about this before in any of the episodes, and I'm sure that many BDMs are going to feel the same way. And like, let's just talk about it. I'm going to go there. So we get leads, right? And we come back, and also I think before that though, there's this like unspoken fear that we're going to miss people that are on our database because we're taking time off, or we're not going to be able to get leads because we're taking time off, and then we're missing revenue. Like, I'm sure that these thoughts go through BDM's minds with taking annual leave. So I feel like best practices are to be honest and transparent with your clients that you're taking some time off. Having a plan of attack though, so whether that's signing things and also relying on your team to help you, and at least if you're getting the things like the bones and the foundations right, and then getting your PM team to help. Obviously, there's temping agencies now, like shout out to our sponsor PM Collective that can help out with doing, inspections and whatnot, and even going and getting photo shoots done and things like that. But also knowing that it's important to take some time off because then we can come back and be better
Yeah.
BDMs because we can rest and recharge. So I think it's having the right systems and processes in place, being transparent with our clients, and knowing that there's always going to be more opportunities when we get back.
I think one of the biggest things too is when I had those couple of days where I didn't work very much, I missed out on an owner and they went with someone else because obviously if you do BDM, you know that owners move fast. So you
Mm,
don't get back to them within a day, probably 80% of the time they've found someone else that's already answered the phone.
mm,
Um, I missed out. I called them. They said, "Oh, we've already found someone." Usually, I would take it to heart and say, like, "Oh, I should have worked. I should have done that." But I took a step back and I was like, "That's fine. Like,
yeah,
that's all good. It's
yeah.
fine." So I think acknowledging that you're not going to get everyone, and I think it's taken me probably almost 2 years now to realize that you won't get everyone that you speak to, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, for sure. And like there's no reason why you can't keep in touch with that client, and who knows what will happen in the future.
They
They're
might come
still
back.
that's
Yeah.
right, they might come back, they're still in your database. So I always say it's never a completely lost opportunity because you still have the ability to connect with them and nurture that relationship even though they have gone with someone else in the first place. So but really great reminder, Hayley. So going forward, what do you think is going to be something that BDMs can do that will help them stand out in their marketplaces? So despite where they are, what's one thing that you think will help BDMs being able to stand out in their marketplaces?
I really think, and this is something that I've always said, is one thing, and we say it at our office all the time, is we look at property management more as of a lifestyle than just a
Mm,
job. So if you don't, I think the main thing is just the communication, but also getting back to people. I know so many, so we have 3 offices now.
mhm,
We opened another one in Geraldton not long ago, just I think 3, 4 weeks ago. And one thing I found from that area as well is that property managers and BDMs aren't getting back to them. So they are following up a couple of times. So I think making sure that you are following up and you are getting back to them. And if they do go with someone else, making sure that you're still touching base with them throughout their life. They're still people that I touched base with from 2 years ago. Um,
mm.
and we get properties on from them all the time. So I think just making sure that your communication's up and making sure that you are touching base because they're not going to remember to reach out to you.
Yeah, for sure. And when you're like touching base or following up, is your style more to call them, or do you have like more of an automated like campaign that runs? Like what's your personal style for your clients?
We don't have a campaign that runs at the moment, which is something that we're going to look into to
Hmm.
make it easier. The way I've worked it is I do a lot of my stuff on WhatsApp.
Hmm.
So I will just go back through and I'll scroll back through to people that I haven't spoken to for 6 months and I'll touch base and say, "Hey, how's your daughter going?" Or, "Hey, how's your property going? Do you need any help? Like we're here." So just touching base usually on things like how are your kids or things that they've spoken to me about that I remember that they were doing, say they were opening a business or they were buying 2 investment properties. I'll touch base on their Queensland investment property and say, "How did it go? Like, is it all going well?" And just making it personal and then keeping the friendship there. I feel like a lot of my owners, I definitely have more of a friendship with than just a business deal.
Yeah. And would you say that you think that's like one of your strengths is to be able to get to that point? Because like I feel that that's a skill set in itself, right? Is to be able to connect with someone on that level that they're so comfortable that they treat you more like a friend than a business relationship. So was that one of your biggest points of differences for you?
I think so. Like for my last agency, I brought on a property there right before I left, and they're locked in for 2 years, so they can't come over just yet. But they messaged me, it would have been about 3 months ago, and they said, "Oh, just letting you know that we're pregnant, we're having a baby."
Oh,
So it's just keeping them and having them as friends more than anything. So it definitely is a point of difference because I'm not just calling them and saying, "Use our agency, we're amazing." I'm
yeah.
actually making most of it personal. And I'm not saying all of it's personal. I can't remember everyone that I've ever spoken to, but the ones, a lot of them I do, and I definitely make notes and mental notes and notes on my computer of like what they've been doing. So then when I do touch base with them, I know what's going on in their life and I can touch on that first.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And that's going back to just how good you are at building that personal side of relationships. So I think that's really stands out about you, and it's needed. And I definitely think it is a massive point of difference, Hayley, the fact that, you are getting back to people, you're contacting them, you're calling them, not, missing out on those opportunities when you're working. You got to take the time off. Because yeah, time is precious and people do move quickly. And the fact that you are so, organized and diligent with that, I think is phenomenal. So, well done. Before we, continue on, I want to know, Hayley, who inspired you to continue to go down the BDM path? Like, so when you were going, okay, I'm going to move to a different like office,
Yeah.
was there someone or something apart from the fact like you wanted to make more money and lifestyle? Were you inspired by someone or something greater than just like the BDM?
To be honest, and I probably won't be the answer that everyone wants to hear, but not really. I think it was just
Okay.
my, um,
Yeah.
I have loved what I do since I started doing it. So I think it's never a question in my mind that I'm ever going to stop doing this. When I
Mhm.
moved to Perth, the first thing I did was I contacted Ella, who I work for now, and I said, I don't know if I'm moving to Perth yet, but I might be. Do you know anyone that's looking for like a BDM? And they were a smaller agency back then,
Mm.
and she said, yeah, definitely, like come work for us. So it was never a question in my mind that I would ever not do it, and it probably won't ever change. I'll probably be in real estate until I die.
So would you say then your biggest inspiration is yourself?
I think so. Like to do what I do. Yeah, I think I don't
Yeah.
know if that sounds wrong.
No, I think that is great, and I think that if you can like say that, then you're inspiring your kids, you're
Yeah.
inspiring other women who are working in real estate, and you're essentially holding yourself accountable then too, right? You're like, well, this
think
is
I
what I love to
definitely
do.
I think I definitely am probably a bit too hard on myself though. So on my lower months where I don't bring in as many as what I would. So last month I think I only did 16 properties, which is still good numbers.
Still good numbers, yeah.
I get a little bit down on myself and then it puts me in a headspace of you need to do better. And then that's probably when I have a bit of a downfall. But then I have a month like this month, I think it's what the 4th of March and I've already got 42 signed up. So
Wow.
it definitely makes a massive difference. Definitely got to stop being so hard on myself. So I'm not perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Like no one's perfect. And you know what, Hayley, what I love, and I have loved about today is that you are so real. The fact that you've just said, publicly, like, hey, this happens, I have a shit month, and yeah, I get down, right? And it just shows that despite being BDMs, despite the fact you're mum, like you're human, right? And that's what you said at the start, like you're just a normal person, yeah. And we all can have our ups and downs in life, and so I think well done on actually just being so real and raw. And then when we look back the conversation we've had today, it's no wonder that you are getting so many clients that are like your friends because you're real and raw, Hayley. Like this is you, this is what you get.
Yeah. And I think I've always been like that. I never came into it wanting it to be so serious because I'm not such a serious person. So I make jokes with my clients all the time. It's not like if someone calls me and they're like, "Oh, we're looking for a property manager." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's what we do." Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, we can definitely help you." Like, I'm definitely not by the book. I'm very open and I'm very casual, and I think that's what a lot of our clients like because
Mm.
they're not. A lot of them aren't your business. So even when I'm sending an email, I'm like, "Yep, no worries, all good." Instead of that, chat GPT.
Tailored. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I keep it real, and I'm pretty proud of myself for being like that.
Yeah, for sure. And you just identified another point of difference in that you actually know who your clients are, which I think is, for any BDMs listening today, it's like I think that's really important that you do know who they are. So okay, how can I communicate with them so that it will resonate with them? And, what tonality do I need to use to be able to resonate with them and build that relationship, which is fantastic. So Hayley, what's your biggest goal for this year? Like you've already done so amazing so far. So what's your biggest goal that you'd like to achieve this year?
So we have just opened our third office. So they had the Perth office when I came here 12 months ago, and then Ella and I opened the Bunbury office, and
Mhm.
now Ella's opened a Geraldton office. So I don't know if it's just my goal, but our company's goal, and which is my goal too,
Yeah.
is to get 100 properties up in Geraldton, 300 in Perth, and 300 in Bunbury, and then bring the Perth office to 900. So I
Awesome.
think we're at 160 or 170 in Bunbury now, and I think we've got 9 in Geraldton. So I think
Yeah.
we're on track to getting there. So that's our biggest goal. But
Awesome. I love
also on a personal level, my biggest goal is to sort of be there for my kids a bit more because I know that especially the last month when I was having my burnout, I've been very yelly and very like angry and not really present when they're there. I sort of zone out a bit. So definitely a near future goal is to just start listening and being there for the kids a bit more because I definitely haven't been as much as I want to the last month.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you will make it happen, Hayley, with your determination that you've got, and you put it out there, and now you've got absolutely everyone else holding you accountable. And I'm going to reach out in a month and see where you're at.
Let you
Um,
know.
Hayley, thank you for being so real, for being so raw. Sharing your journey and sharing that you absolutely can, be a BDM and a mum. And I think you'll be an inspiration to a lot of other women listening to this podcast today. So thank you for coming on and just being absolutely yourself and just sharing all of those insights. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone else is going to appreciate it too.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
So good. And I want to get you back on the end of the year. Let's see if you reach these goals, which I'm sure you
Yeah,
will.
yeah, definitely. That would be cool. Yeah.
Thanks, Hayley. And as true Sarah Sincotta style, everyone, keep rising.